Well, hello, and welcome to this, the last, the last episode in season 6. And this last episode is all about Malaysia. At the end of each of season 6's episodes, there have been 20 of them, this is the 20th one. Excuse me, I have shared with you a heart key because people do say, how did you do that, Victoria? How did you travel overseas for 16 months through 10 countries solo? I mean, what made you do that? Or what sort of person are you that would even consider doing that? Well, I have to tell you right now, and my children, especially when they were younger, can testify to this. I am weird. Seriously, weird. And I revel in that now. It wasn't so much fun when I was younger, even as a young mum with the children, embarrassing my children on sports day, being an R, because Victoria Rose here, and as an R name in Western Australia. That's how they divided the kids into the faction colours for their sport. So R is always red. So I embarrassed my children by going to the sports day. I had a pith helmet and I'd made these red roses to be red. Oh dear, the things you do. But seriously, I am weird, and now I look at all those people that laughed at me because I was different, because I was weird. And it's not that I laugh at them now, but I do say to myself, thank goodness I am not like you, because you are all the same. I do not want to be a cookie cutter kid, and it turns out that I haven't been. Let's have a look at this video. Welcome to my backpacking solo epic trek final episode. Episode 20 is all about Malaysia. When I flew from Hua Hin to Kuala Lumpur, I had a bit of a shock. And this is the shock. Excess luggage for 4 kilos overweight. It cost me 250 Australian dollars. The ticket almost cost just a little bit more than that. Okay, 16 months, and it was the first time that I actually had to pay excess, and it'll be the last time that I ever pay excess. Trust me. When I got to Kuala Lumpur, I jumped on a coach and about almost 3 hours, and I finally arrived in Ipoh. Now, what am I doing in Malaysia? It's 2 weeks before I get to go home. Why am I here? Well, I'd never been to Malaysia before, and these guys are to blame. You've met them. This is Vera and Bob. You met them in my Turkey episode. I met them. We connected on one of those wonderful Facebook, the In Croatia Insider, it's called, and we connected on that. And when they heard that I was going to Turkey, they said, if you ever come to Antalya, come and stay with us. And guess what? I did. I stayed down there with them in their beautiful harbourside apartment for 7 nights. So here I am in Ipoh, and the reason why I'm here is Vera and Bob said, listen, Victoria, you're doing it the hard way. You don't have to house sit and pet sit or volunteer. You can live in Ipoh and do that totally on your Australian age pension. You don't have to spend any of your hours in the day doing things for other people. And so I thought, well, that doesn't sound like a bad idea. They invited me, gluttons for punishment, these two. They invited me to go and stay with them again for 2 weeks, and they would show me how wonderful Ipoh was. This is the view from their balcony, and stunning apartment, and very affordable. This is part of Ipoh, looking out over the city, and there we have the Cameron Highlands in the background. But let me show you first a flat white Malaysian style. And yes, it tasted as good as it looks. Which, just in case you haven't got the sarcasm, was not very good. But I managed to find a place where I could get a decent flat white in Ipoh. I was so impressed with the street art, and it caused me to feel emotion, because in every single place I went, the artistic talent, the need to be creative was evident in every single place. Here we have some of the artistic talent in Ipoh. And as you can see, they're pretty good. I particularly liked these gorgeous street arts about women playing a musical instrument. Aren't they so cute? And I guess I have to say that this one is probably my favourite one. Look at the little cat there sitting at the side. Like every other city that I went to, every other place, Ipoh has little laneways, little lanes that you can meander down. And I'm rather drawn to these areas to visit. This particular one is called the Concubine Lane. One of the really good things about being in Ipoh was, unlike some of the places I stayed at, I didn't have anywhere to go at night, number one. And number two, there were places where I didn't feel I could go out at night. Here, it was very safe, even though the only other faces similar to mine, in other words, European faces or Caucasian faces that I saw, I only ever saw two different people. So not a lot of diversity happening in Ipoh. My host suggested I try this little delicacy, and so I did, at Australian dollar $3.35. Not a lot of money, but certainly decided I wouldn't go there again. But I've tried it. Now, talking about diversity, very little diversity in Ipoh. So I'm from Melbourne, and there we have hundreds of different types of culture, different types of people living there. In Ipoh, there were 3 types, except for those just 2 European faces that I saw, that I mentioned in the previous slide. All you'll see here are Malays and the Indians, of course, and have a look at these beautiful temples. And then we have the Malaysian Chinese. And so meet May. May very kindly offered to put me up for 2 or 3 nights, and she's quite the artist. Have a look at that hydrangea just behind my head. That was May's first ever attempt at drawing hydrangeas. It was just gorgeous. As you can see, it's almost Christmas, not long to go. May had the cutest little dog too. Look at this little guy, very shy, had his security blanket and his little security toy just to keep him happy. Now, talking about being happy, second night being at May's, or was it the first night? I don't know what happened, but this was my experience. It was not a good experience. I'm pretty used to be pretty used to leaping out of bed. So I would do so on this morning. I leapt out of bed, crashed straight away to the floor, cutting myself on some furniture at the same time. I had no understanding why would I be experiencing vertigo. Interestingly enough, I put a post on Facebook about this, and I had an overwhelming amount of people post that they had just experienced vertigo for their first time as well. Now, the vertigo got better, but I have to say it took a year before I can finally turn without feeling sick, which is much more pleasant. May took me up to this place, which is the Cameron Highlands. Now, the Cameron Highlands are the most popular of the highland retreats in Malaysia. And at the highest point, they're 2,000 meters high. Okay, we didn't stay in a 5-star hotel. That's true. I stayed in a fabulous Airbnb though. Even so, I had no clue as to why anyone would want to go up to the Cameron Highlands. Okay, so it's a lot cooler. Could that be the reason why? Have a look at this picture. Look, very common to see the buildings going up, brand new hotels, apartment buildings going up. And have a look at what else is in this picture. Can you see the slugs? Here's another image of what I call the slugs. Now, I saw these slugs in Turkey, acres and acres of them in Turkey. Mostly the slugs housed fruit and vegetables. Here in the Cameron Highlands, the slugs were housing flowers. So the Airbnb that I stayed at was a flower farm, and I have lots of beautiful pictures of the flower farm, but I think you'll get the idea from this. The other interesting thing about this absolutely meticulously clean, scrupulously clean Airbnb was, apart from being in a flower farm, I was rather fascinated by the outdoor kitchen. Can you see this? It's actually outdoor. I'm not quite sure how they go when it's really, really cold, but they manage. The other thing I rather liked when I was up in the Cameron Highlands was the image of this gorgeous purple house. And I just had to take the photo so I could share it with you. Now, the other thing I'd like to share with you is this. This is a limestone cave temple on 12 acres with 12 acres with Buddha sculptures and a reflexology footpath. How cool is that? This temple, I just found it to be both physically and spiritually stunning. And by the way, it's actually called Kek Lok Tong. But as I don't speak a word of Chinese, I'm not saying anything right now. Oh, can you see the swastika? Oh my gosh, not the swastika, rearing its ugly head. Well, for you that don't know, the swastika is not about Nazis. They just hijacked it. If you were to do any study, you would discover that the swastika is an ancient symbol, and it does not have, or did not have, the meaning that modern day people attribute to it. So check out the swastika and don't be fooled by seeing that sign again unless you're absolutely certain that that particular swastika is a Nazi swastika. That's a different kettle of fish. Now it's time to go inside the cave. Have a look at these. How beautiful are they? Now, these images were taken with my very, very humble iPhone 6S. The 12 is quite a way off, sadly. But how beautiful are these images. And I was rather intrigued by this particular image. Yes, I know you saw it straight away. Look at that cheeky bird sitting on top of the head. How rude. When you step outside of the cave, you step into stunning gardens. Mesmerized, I walked around. And when I did, I looked back and I saw there was this sort of half circle of these statues. You could kind of see them there. And I thought, right, I'll continue walking around this great lake and I'll check out what those statues are. And here they are. Now, this one is the deer sitting statue. And the really good thing about this is that they've got an English translation there. So I found one of these statues that for some reason I probably liked the most, and it had to do with the dragon, right? This one is Taming Dragon. In ancient India, the dragon king of the underseas flooded a small kingdom and put the sutras in his palace. Nantimitolo subdued the dragon king and restored the sutras back to earth. Hence, he is called the Taming Dragon Arahant. Well, it was all very charming, but the time came when I had to say goodbye, Ipoh. Thank you. Thank you to my Australian friends, Vera and Bob, for again so generously hosting me. I really enjoyed the fact that I could celebrate Bob's birthday with him too and spend some time chit-chatting with Vera. I have to say though, Ipoh is not for me, not to stay. If nothing else, and there actually have been a lot of other things, I really do have to be by the sea. I can be away, but it's not where I want to end up living. Where I will end my days will be by the sea. So then it came time to jump on that plane. I had backpacked solo for 16 months, way longer than what I thought I would. I jumped on that plane and I flew down to Changi, amazing airport, and then to Melbourne. I arrived in Australia on Friday, the 13th of December 2019. Definitely not a Black Friday for me. Oh, by the way, have you noticed the price? I just did this today, and from Changi Airport to Melbourne is from $6,128. Oh my gosh. There's no way I could travel now, even if I could, at those prices, that's for sure. Finally, I was home. And the truth is, there is no place like home. And a flat white Australian style. Thank you for sharing my backpacking solo epic trek. It's been a heartfelt adventure, and my mission is accomplished. That mission was to prove you can travel and live overseas on an Australian aged pension. Thank you for sharing the love. Okay, well, I had some fabulous balloons that were supposed to come up. Oh no, I remember now. I had the balloons exploding onto the screen in at the beginning, and I thought that was really cute. Thank you for being on my journey. Thank you for commenting on this particular live stream, Enza and Jen. You certainly are loyal and true friends who wanted to have a look at what I was up to. Of course, I didn't tell everything. I have to tell you, you just cannot tell everything. I mean, there has to be some sort of book follow-up, the secrets of backpacking solo through 10 countries. Surely, I'll probably never get around to writing that book. So all along, the theme has been about hearts. Now, more than ever, we need to operate more from the heart, because many of us are only operating from our head, from our mind. It needs to be a combination. And that way that we relate to others needs to come from the heart too, because we don't know that story, their story. What are they going through life right now? We absolutely don't know. So, my last heart key for you today is one that I've actually shared with you before. It is, oh, thank you, Enza. Enza said, oh, this is very sweet. Enza, it's very kind of you. Enza is an author in her own right, best-selling author. She takes guided tours to Sicily. Obviously not this last year, but everything's crossed that this is something that we'll be able to do. And I must also just honor Jennifer Hines as well. Jennifer Hines is another fabulous Australian woman who has her own makeup, natural mineral makeup business. And she's really spot on with making sure that, oh, as a matter of fact, I know it's a bit outrageous, but I am weird, remember. I'm wearing one of her eyeshadow colors. As a matter of fact, the whole face is Jennifer Naz Cosmetics makeup. So thank you, Jennifer, for following me on my journey. And you too, Enza, you are both my most loyal fans. Thank you. So what is the, let me just get this happening. So we need a heart key. Oh, no, sorry, Jen, we've already had you. Oh, here's the heart key. And the heart key for this week is so important. Thank you, Jen, for saying I'm so inspiring. Well, I wouldn't be inspiring if I didn't believe in this. Yeah? So stay weird. I know what you're thinking. What the heck does that mean, Victoria? It means don't be a cookie cutter kid. If it pains you to be so, if you feel that you're a misfit, if you feel you're different, if you feel you stand out, that's okay. As a matter of fact, that's what I believe the world needs right now. Oh, thank you, Jen. That's what the world needs right now, are people who are proud to stand in their being weird. So let me share the story with you around this. I think it's pretty important. I was watching a show, and in this show they had children lined up, boys and girls from age 8 to age 14, and each of those children, except for the 8-year-old, had to turn to the right, and that's why the 8-year-old couldn't do it. Their task was to turn to the right and give one piece of wisdom to their 1-year-old child standing to their right. Blew me away what these kids said as the wisdom that they're handing down. We sometimes don't listen to what the children say. But here's the one thing that stood out for me, and you've already got it, haven't you? This little man, who was about 11 years old, he turned to the 10-year-old to his right and said so seriously, "Stay weird." Oh, thank you, Vanessa. That's very kind. And he said, "Stay weird. Do not be forced into that cookie cutter, cutout kid. You have a gift. Don't be ashamed of it. Don't be embarrassed. He didn't say all this. This is what I'm saying now. All he said was, stay weird. And it really called to me. I remember when I heard, I know Steve Jobs didn't write this. He hired someone who wrote it, but it was Steve Jobs' voice that I heard saying this. And it was that famous ad. And the part of the ad that got to me was, this is for the misfits. It gets to me now. Why? And I'm okay with being a misfit and with being different. Oh, God. This is one of the joys of going live. You never know what actually is going to come up. But it's also the emotion of my last episode 20, series 6, on my backpacking solo epic trek. And do you know who I found who really wants to know about this? It's the young ones. Women my age, except for a small handful, don't want to know about this because they don't want to do it. And I can't blame them. It certainly wasn't a walk in the park. And I'm so glad I did it, though, because I grew so much. So it's not for everyone. But I have discovered that it is the younger women that look at what I've done. And I've had comments where they've said, oh my gosh, my mum wants to do something like that and I've been holding her back. I won't do that now. No. If someone is a traveler and if they have to go, then let them go. Trust me, whatever happens on those travels, you will love and appreciate even more than that. Oh, thank you, Vanessa. Oh, how beautiful. I'm just going to put this up because it is interesting what the younger women are saying. We should all strive to be so jovial and keep that uniqueness. Absolutely. It'll forever dictate how we live everything. It will. I've learnt that from you. And she's sending me a big hug. Oh, thank you, Vanessa. I give you a big hug right back. So this is the last episode for 2020. Oh, thank goodness 2020 is almost over. But I'm not rushing the days away. There have been hidden gifts in this year. And if you only focus on all the bad that happened and is still and will continue to happen, then just like life, all the time, you won't see the good. And there is good. Thank you for joining me through this journey. I've got a YouTube channel. Just search for Victoria Rose solo travel. I'm not the young red-headed one with tattoos and piercing, but she has a fabulous journey and a wonderful story as well. Both stories are well worth listening to. Thank you so much again. Mwah. Mwah. What will 2021 bring? I'll be back on deck, but with a whole different series. Thank you.